Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on this new DC Universe live action movie stuff that's slowly coming our way. Now, James Gunn, as we know, along with Peter Safran, they're heading up the new DC studios and they're working on this new slate that's going to be happening with their new DC Universe, connected universe and all that. Now, of course, we're unsure in regards to who's playing what character and whether, or what characters or what actors are folding over into this new universe that played them previously. Obviously, we know that Henry Cavill is not playing Superman, but then we're led to believe that Gal Gadot will still be Wonder Woman. It's still like up in the air what's going on exactly with what actors are playing what characters, but we know that there's a new universe in regards to like a new canon and everything like that coming our way. Now, James Gunn said he has a slate ready, and he says that some of the movies will be revealed in January. So, in the next month or so, which is exciting. In regards to how many movies he releases or announces, that's another question. I would assume it's a small amount. It might be only 2 or 3. It might go up to like 5 or 6. That's a wait and see. But yeah, we only got a month or so until we at least know one of the movies that's coming our way outside of one that was already announced, which we'll reference in this video. But in this video, I'm going to go over my predictions for a slate or a rough slate that I could see James Gunn doing. Not necessarily based off too many teasers he's done, just based off general logic, I think, in regards to how James Gunn would go around building a universe that can thrive for years to come, rather than putting everything out there out of the gate, and it can be hard to build around that for like a 10, 20 year journey or whatever it might be. So I'm not going to put my movies in order of release, even though the first one might be the first movie. I'm not too sure, but yeah, they're just, because I'm not trying to create a through line story or anything in this video. I'm just, this is just the first rough slate of movies I could see James Gunn putting together that makes sense in my eyes. And I've put together a mixture of your bigger budget and bigger titles mixed with some smaller characters or budgeted films that I think establish this new DC universe in a pretty solid way. Of course, you could change, one character into another, same tier or sized character, but these were my choices and I'm pretty happy with it for the most part. Now, we have seen drama in the past with not just DC, but other intended franchises revealing too much in a slate and not really being able to deliver on it. So, as I sort of hinted at before, I could see James Gunn limiting the amount that is at least revealed to the public. So maybe like it could be 3 or maybe 5 or 6 at a time, which would be, if you do 5 or 6, would be like 2 years at a time roughly, as we could see them doing 3 or so movies a year once they do get the ball rolling. But yeah, do let me know your opinions in the comment section down below and what movies you want to see, as well as your thoughts on my selections. Just curious to see whether I'm an idiot or I've got a decent idea for a slate. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, drop a like, helps the channel out, takes 2 seconds. So the first movie is a pretty obvious one, Superman. This movie has already been confirmed with James Gunn writing it himself, of course with a younger Superman, Henry Cavill, not in the role, but it's also not an origin story. It seems like it's going to be Superman in his first few years at the Daily Planet and I guess publicly as Superman, and apparently he's going to know of other superheroes out there. Whether they're buddies or not is another question, but they're going to be known to each other. But of course, James Gunn writing Superman, I think highlights the importance, which I guess should be apparent already because it's Superman. I think they need to get Superman right. But this is like just the obvious one to mention because James Gunn's already mentioned it. Of course, potentially Lobo as the antagonist played by Jason Momoa has already been teased. That's whether he still plays Aquaman, but I think that might be the thing that happens, that he does play Lobo. Though it would seem that's only for a 1 movie thing, but I guess he could recur in other movies, especially cosmic stuff if they want to do that. He could just travel the universe or the galaxy or the space in general. So yeah, Superman's the obvious one, already been confirmed by James Gunn. So yeah. The next one is probably a personal one, but I could see it being something that James Gunn does, and that's the JSA. Now, I would make this a period piece that then leads into the modern day. So in the modern day, there is no Justice League, but this group, the JSA, the Justice Society of America, is the inspiration. The only thing that could get in the way of this being something is the fact that the JSA was just featured like a couple of months ago in Black Adam. But then again, that movie wasn't a raging success and didn't really have a proper JSA in the movie itself. Like it was Dr. Fate and Hawkman as JSA people and then 2 young people. There was no, the majority of the JSA wasn't there. So it's not like it was a complete JSA focused film that didn't go too well in the cinemas and, featured most of the characters that James Gunn would want to use in a JSA film. So I would love to see this. You could set it in the 1940s or even maybe in like the 1960s or 70s, and then it leads into the modern day, and they're the inspiration. I don't know if you'd make them like a myth sort of thing and like a legend, or they would be publicly known. I think you could probably choose, or you could maybe make it that like some of the characters or some of the heroes within the JSA were known to the public because maybe they were heroes in their own cities. But in regards to the JSA as an organization, them coming together and, you know, fighting crime, maybe it's a myth. I'm not too sure how they could do it, but it is like that inspiration for the Justice League in the modern day. And like they're not a thing anymore, if you want to call it. Or maybe you could make them still a thing. But I think like their heyday was in the past, and maybe in the modern day they are more of a myth and maybe are a bit more secretive. I'm not too sure, but the JSA is a movie I'd love to see in this first slate of films to set them up as a thing in the past that then leads into the modern day. The next one, probably another personal one, Green Arrow. And this is just to introduce the street level, if you want to call it, and like the non-powered heroes. Now, Batman will be a part of James Gunn's DCU. He has stated on Twitter that Batman's going to be an important part, but I don't see a Batman movie in the early parts of this new universe, especially with the Matt Reeves stuff. I think they'll just have Batman as a character showing up at some point. But in regards to a focused film, you might be waiting a few, I don't want to say a few phases if we're going to use a Marvel term, but like a few years into the thing. So I don't think it's going to be out of the gate there's a Batman movie. Now, Green Arrow is a character that people have wanted to see brought into the DC film universe for a while, though we can sort of understand that while Arrow was on, that it would have been like not avoided, but not a desperate option to bring in. Like, oh, this character hasn't been seen in live action, we have to bring them in because you had Arrow. But Arrow would have been like wrapped up for maybe like 4, maybe 5 or more years by the time a Green Arrow film would be made and put to the big screen. If it is a part of this first slate of films, that's more than enough breathing time. And I think James Gunn has said that Green Arrow is one of his favorite characters. So join the club. But obviously that gives it that puts it in good standing, or the character of Green Arrow in good standing to show up. So I'd love to see that. Not if you don't make it Green Arrow and Black Canary. We know there's a Black Canary movie in production, or like in pre-production in the works, or development, might I say, with Jurnee Smollett, which I don't know if it's going to happen anymore. So I don't know if James Gunn wants to use her as Black Canary or has other ideas. Well, that's a wait and see. But it could be a Green Arrow and Black Canary, or it could be Green Arrow, maybe Black Canary shows up elsewhere, maybe Black Canary's in the JSA. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Another character, Black Lightning. Now, you could almost play this off like a middle ground of what the show was. Now, the show, of course, had Black Lightning much older and sort of retired from that role, but the movie could have Jefferson Pierce, aka Black Lightning, well established in this world, and maybe like a decade or so roughly into him being what the public does know as Black Lightning. Once again, a bit more street level, but it's also powered as well. So this would be like almost like the best of both worlds in regards to, you know, your Green Arrow stuff, but then your superpowered stuff like your Superman and metahumans and everything like that. So Black Lightning would be a cool character to bring in and just build that world up. The next one is probably the most confusing one in regards to whether this is something that James Gunn is considering doing soon, but that's Wonder Woman. Now, there must be a reason why Wonder Woman 3 is not moving ahead as originally planned, but like Patty Jenkins isn't disconnected from the job anymore. Like, she came out and said that, you know, she hasn't left the role at all. Like, she's still attached to the movie. It's just not moving ahead as it was originally. And same with Gal Gadot not leaving the role either. So I'm sort of confused where that's going, because I think you should set this character up within the universe, and her past is important, unless they're going to still attach it to the 2 previous Wonder Woman movies, but then maybe just change some stuff up in regards to the canon and just a bit of retooling there. I'm not too sure, but I think getting in there somewhat early with Wonder Woman will be needed within this universe if she is going to be part of the Justice League and stuff like that. But that's a whole wait and see, because we don't know about the whole Gal Gadot situation and whether she's staying as the character, or whether they are going to recast and then Gal Gadot plays another character. But a lot of people do see Gal Gadot, or see Wonder Woman as Gal Gadot, or vice versa. So that could be a really hard one to recast. So yeah, that's a wait and see. Obviously, the rumor about Nubia coming in has been going on for a couple of years. Apparently, it was rumored that she was going to be in Wonder Woman 3 as well. But Nubia is a bit of a different character, where I don't think you can just make her Wonder Woman. I think you actually have to have Diana Prince in some way there before you hand over that mantle. So that's a wait and see. And my final movie that I wanted to include in this is actually something that sort of like makes it that James Gunn covers all bases, if that makes sense. And that's Green Lantern, or Green Lantern Corps. You have your superpower with your Superman, then you have your street level with Green Arrow and I guess Black Lightning, which sort of has the best of both worlds with the street level and the superpowers. And then we have to go cosmic. We have to go into space. And we could even have like some Green Lantern stuff in the JSA film. You could have Alan Scott there. And while it's not the same stuff that we see with the Green Lantern Corps, like that evolution, it would have at least, at least have that name of Green Lantern within the universe before this film. But as I said, I think if James Gunn's first slate addresses or taps into all aspects of the DC universe, the only one that really doesn't tap into is like the magical side, but that's something that is, can be a bit, crazy, where I think it might be better to avoid that until you think you're ready. Like you have the universe established and then you can bring in magic, because though we're having people flying around and stuff, that's just normal with the superhero stuff, but magic is still something that's a bit, I was going to say taboo. It's not taboo, but it's like it still feels like the weird side of the superhero stuff. So I think you bring in what people see as the normal side, and then you bring in that other aspect with the magic maybe in the movies that follow, whether it is Zatanna, whether it's just like a Justice League Dark, whether it's, Titans with Raven, whatever it is. That's where you touch it. But I think doing cosmic, Green Lantern is a property that is like begging to make $1 billion and is just sitting there to be built up correctly. And it's got so much lore behind it where just doing a single film can be really hard. So Green Lantern's probably the most difficult film I think they have in regards to getting right, just because it has so much lore around it and it can confuse people sometimes. But I think it's an important one to get done, so you tap into that cosmic aspect. And I think maybe just a single Green Lantern film, like with one, would be like Hal Jordan, I think, is the one that James Gunn will use. But if you do Green Lantern Corps, then maybe you can have a couple. But I think you do Green Lantern with one, and then do Green Lantern Corps maybe in your next round of films, and you bring in maybe your John Stewart as well. And then maybe he can be the main character in the Green Lantern Corps film, and Hal Jordan can be a side character, maybe like has something to do with that story. But Green Lantern, the main one, Hal Jordan, and then Green Lantern Corps has John Stewart, and then you can do stuff with John Stewart after that movie as well. Maybe that's the best way to go about it. Now, The Flash and Aquaman are movies I would have loved to have put in this first slate, especially The Flash, just to build the Justice League characters out. But of course, they have movies coming out next year in this final run of movies before James Gunn has his major influence on stuff going forward. And I don't think James Gunn would want movies focused on those characters so soon after those movies next year. And we, as I have sort of referenced in this video, we don't know the whole recast progress or process, might I say, that he is going to go through in regards to what actors stay as what characters and all of that. However, those characters of The Flash and Aquaman, and even someone like Shazam or Blue Beetle and stuff like that, maybe even a Wonder Woman, if they stay in the universe that James Gunn is putting together, they could show up in certain movies. Like The Flash could show up in Green Lantern, and Aquaman could be referenced and maybe seen in news footage in the Green Arrow film, or something like that. And that sort of establishes them in the universe without maybe confirming stuff or overly, focusing on them so soon after those other films. But yeah, as I said, it's a wait and see. We don't know exactly what's going on. That's all in James Gunn's head and maybe on a whiteboard in his office. But yeah, I can't wait to see what James Gunn has in store. I know there's a lot of hate going towards him, which I think is very unwarranted. I think it's just all like, you just don't, I can understand it as well, like in regards to being defensive about certain takes on characters and wanting to stay there. And I think James Gunn understands that, but he also has to build the universe that he sees that's going to be like successful and viable in years to come. So you got to understand that as well. And I don't think he's going to completely reboot it. I think from everything I've seen him say, I don't think he's going to completely reboot it, but there will be some decisions which won't be met with a ridiculous amount of love, like the Henry Cavill situation, but in his eyes, it's the best for what he wants to do. So you have to just trust him, I guess, and just see what happens in the, months, and I guess the next 12 months as well, moving forward. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this. Do you like this potential slate that I've put together? Do you hate it? Let me know. Do you have any other suggestions? What movie do you want the most to see in that first run? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.